Welcome everyone, KD here, and this is Interactive Actor Widget tutorial in Unreal Engine 4 part 2. So last time I showed you how to set up an NPC and with a widget that pops up when you go closer to him and you can interact with. So these are buttons that have no effect so far, and we want to change that in this tutorial and the next tutorial. So in this one we want to want to talk with our NPC, and with that we create a second widget. We put this second widget on the viewport. You could also make something like a speech bubble above the NPC if you want, and do it like I showed you in the first part, but because I want to show you a little bit the difference between a widget that is connected to an actor and a widget that is on the viewport, I'm putting the speech bubbles on the viewport itself. So for that, the first thing we create is a new user interface widget blueprint, and let's call this, why are you so slow? Anyway, let's call this speech tutorial. I'm opening this up, and now we are here in the widget part. Again, we have the designer part and the graph part. We will use both. Sometimes it's not needed to use both, but this time I want to use both. And the first thing I want to say is, like I said, this is an UI that is directly on the viewport. So this canvas panel you see here, these borders here, they are the display that the player sees. So think about that, because where you want to plant your informations, your UI informations, because you don't want to occupy too much of what the player sees. So for that I will first create a second canvas panel, and I think I put it just down here, where most of the times when you play an RPG or so, the speech options are down below. So I do the same thing here now. I fill this out and left, let's say 200 left, top, let's keep this, and to the right also 200. Of course you have to test these things out and see if it works. Maybe you have more information than only this, maybe over different widgets and so on. But for this tutorial we don't have to go too much into specific. I put an image on the back just so there is a background for the text we want to create. If we don't have a background, it's sometimes difficult to say if the text is good visible. It depends on where the camera is. Maybe the text is less visible or something like that. I will change here, of course, when we have a white background. Let's change it to black. So I have to say, creating text in Unreal Engine 4 is quite annoying. I would recommend to you to make images in a 2D software like designer software like GIMP or Photoshop, with the text maybe with a background, or maybe you have a separate background and the text with an invisible background, and then you both over each other or something like that. I wouldn't recommend to you to make it in Unreal Engine 4 because you're extremely limited. You will see why. So first of all, I create one text for the first text is for for who is talking, and then I will do a second text box, and that will be the dialogue itself. So let's create this black. I hope this is enough space. Yeah, and now I want to have a flexible text. So what do I mean with that? I want to have the possibility to change what I want to write in what I want to write in there. What I mean with that is, if one character talks, and then there is a text for that, and then we can change to the other character, and then this character will talk. Will have a different dialogue and a different name, of course. So that means I will keep this as just as text block. That's fine, because we kind of will we don't want a fixed text. I hope this is kind of clear. I will make this smaller, this one. And then how can we create we bind the text so we can create a variable here. Just go in, bind next to the text here, press on bind, then it goes automatically into the graph, and here we have this this event here, or this function, and from here press a line and just put it somewhere. Then this bubble will go up, and here we can click on promote to variable, and this is name of our talking. So we created a new variable, text variable. We can now compile this, and here we can press in our default value. I will do that. So the default value will be the first time the bubble pops up. So first I want our NPC to talk. The NPC is called test dummy 2. I could give another name, but it's not that important right now. And I will do the same for our dialogue. Here next to text, create binding. This comes up. I do the same. Promote to a variable. We have a second variable, and this is our dialogue. I will compile this so we can set default value. So what does she say? Our village no, sorry, let's say a dragon attacks our village. Oh, please help. That's what our NPC says when we talk to her or him. He's right now pretty gender neutral. I will compile this, and now as soon as the player has read the text, he can select our button, the next dialogue part. So I will add a button here, somewhere down below here. Or maybe you have different dialogue options. One is yes, of course I will help, or no, I won't help, or anything like that. So I won't go that far right now. because setting it up is kind of the same. With example as with one dialog, just to save some time. And yeah, let's just say next here. Okay, now when we press on next, we create an event on pressed. So select the button, go all down, then here you have the event on pressed. We can delete these events here, we don't need them. And when I press, I will change the name. And the dialog. The name is test dummy 1. And the dialog is no way. I only have a top hat equipped. Goodbye. And that's what our test dummy 2 says. So now we have one small problem. We want to go further. So, or not further. So maybe we don't have only 2 dialogue speeches. Or the other thing is we want to remove the dialogue from the viewport again at some point, of course. And for that, we have to create different branches for pressing this button. So I will go a little bit back with that here. I will add here a branch like this. And now if we have more than one dialogue or different dialogue choices and things like that, then you maybe want to create a integer, a number, and then say, yeah, this is number 1, this is number 2, and so if this number is number 1, then we want this dialogue. If it's number 2, we want a different dialogue. Here I want to make it different. We only have 2 choices, so we can live with a boolean. I mean, this is only an example how you can do it. There are many ways how you can do it. So we'll create a boolean, and yeah, I don't really know how to call this one here. Text boolean, that should be enough. Let's see now when we compile it, default value is true. So if we press the first time on next, this thing here, the text will change to this one, this here, and we change the boolean to false. And when we press on next time, we wanna make this complete widget invisible. So I select the canvas panel that overlays everything. I go to visibility. I create a binding here. We are back here. The return value is similar, but it has a different variable. We still promote it to a variable, and then just call this visibility for now. Visibility canvas. So, and when we compile this, default value is visible. We want that. Now, in the graph, in the event graph, if we select the text boolean again, I will set this to hidden, to hidden, and then we won't see the text anymore. You could also remove, there is also a function to remove all widgets, and then the widget will completely remove. But maybe you have a HUD or some kind of UI that gives you different information, and the only function I know, maybe there is another one that can select which widget you want to remove from the viewport, but sadly I only know remove all widgets. So if you do use this one, you have to also create the widgets you still wanna use. So that's kind of annoying. With that, you can just, the widget is kind of still there and it's just hidden. So this may be a little bit problematic. I don't know if you have a big open world and you have hundreds of people you talk to, then maybe this is a problem. If you have smaller maps and you have only 1, 2, 3 people talking, you can talk to, it shouldn't be that big of a problem if there are different UIs open. I mean, this is not that are just hidden. So I mean, this is not, takes not too much resources, something like that. So that's something you have to know. Just for this example, we take the simpler way and just hide it. Like I said, maybe if you have a big game, a complex game, you maybe want to remove all widgets and then create the widgets again that you wanna use. We'll compile this, save this, and that's all we need for here. So now we have to go to, I call this NPC interaction widget here. Here talk, greet. Now on the talk button, I select on pressed event, and here when we press on this, we just create widget, and we select here our speed tutorial we created before. We will do here add to viewport, and that's fine. Now I have to say one thing in this. So how I set it up like this, it should be fine. It should be possible to interact with the widget already. However, if you have the control completely on the game itself, not on the widgets, you can also add set input mode, game, and UI, so you can also interact with the UI, or you can select game only, or you can select UI only, depends on how you want to do it. Here you have to get control, the player controller. The player controller always reference to the inputs from the player itself. Put this in target, and then we take this widget and put it in widget to focus. And we compile this, save this, and now we can play everything. And I go closer to my NPC. I can talk, and here our dialogue comes in. Test dummy 2, a dragon attacks our village, please help. Next. No way, I only have a top hat equipped, goodbye. And press it again and it disappears. That's one example how you can set up a dialogue or anything like that. I want to show you a second example in the third part, and then with the second button, greet, we will create a very short cutscene that can be triggered by pressing on the button. I want to keep this tutorials as short as possible. What is sometimes a little bit difficult because I want to make this tutorials also interesting for really beginners, so they understand as much as possible. So I'm going to give as much information as possible. So if something is unclear what I did here, please leave a comment, and thank you for watching, and hopefully I see you in part 3.